Dirty paws off. You know, sometimes it's nice to just come chill with Sadie. And we're not even going to talk about what's in the background because I have no idea, truly. So that was my very failed attempt of taking a little break with Sadie. It's your guardian dog, but not over me. Over the animals. Ah. Yeah, we'll have to work on that. You ready to go do some chores? Yeah? So we have a couple afternoon chores today. We're gonna feed the pigs on the hill, get all the animals some fresh water, and probably fill the cow trough up too. And there's also a chewy box on the porch that we need to move. It has the dog food in it, so we need to put that away too. You ready to go in the amazing barn? Yeah, I don't think Jethro and Sadie are too much of friends yet. Hi, goats. Hi. Hi. So in this video, I just thought I'd take a few minutes to talk about some of our greatest failures on the Homestead of 2022. I watched Morgan Gold of Goldshaw Farms video on it today about some of his greatest failures from 2022. So I thought I would totally copy his video and put it on my channel. But thanks, Morgan, for the great idea. But the chores still have to get done, and I feel like I sound good enough to record a vlog. So some of our greatest failures per se of 2022. I'm gonna make a full recap video, but this is kind of like a starter of the video. The recap will kind of talk more about the YouTube channel aspect of it, and yeah, it'll have some other fun stuff in it. So stay tuned for that. Again, feed all over backs. As for starters, number one that we made here on the homestead has been the pigs and getting them out more in the woods. That's my first regret on not being able to get them out in the woods this year. Reasons have been between chaotic with the cattle. That was the main goal this year, was to get cattle and poultry all out on pasture. So the pigs did kind of suffer, and so did the areas they were in. But one of the things we're working on right now, and is a future video. So one thing I have been working on, and this will be a whole video in itself, but I've been clearing out this area where we had like a slight tornado. I have pictures, but this was totally filled with all kinds of bramble up through here, and there's the pile of branches. All right, Sadie, come on. Sadie, come on, let's head back, come on. Sadie, come on, let's go. So yes, the pigs did slightly suffer this year in ways of not being able to get on pasture, but they did still enjoy their times in here. We did open up this during the summer. We held it during the spring, so they were just in this one. Gave this one time to green up and get all kinds of new grass and foliage in there for them to eat. Our other reason for not getting them out on pasture this year has been because we've had a very naughty litter of pigs. And those are the 3 bigger ones, so 2 of those guys have gone off to the processing over this past week, if you guys remember. But oh my goodness, they would just try and get out any opportunity. They never respected the fences or anything. So we didn't think that they'd be the best to put out on pasture because we didn't want to chase them every day. To have them out on pasture, you have to have some very, very trustworthy pigs, which those 3 just weren't. These other ones seem to be a little bit more nervous though, so these guys may be a little bit better, so we'll try that out in the spring. Another thing that I slightly regret and wish maybe that I had done differently is the chickens. Usually in the spring I will hatch out a bunch of chickens. This spring I did not. Usually about this time of year we're sitting comfortably between 50 and 100 birds. But because I didn't hatch out very many chicks, unfortunately my hatches were unsuccessful. And with the avian influenza, there were barely any birds in the farm stores. And the prices for chicks from hatcheries were really, really expensive. So we didn't get very many this year. That is why we sit at about 15 to 20 birds right now. But this spring, I do plan on getting a bunch more. So just wait until about March. We will have a lot of big birds. Now, granted, that is something I can't change. I can't change the predictions of my hatches. I can learn a little bit, but I can't fix that. Same as for the prices of birds or the chicken flu. I can't change any of that. This is just looking back at some things that happened last year that I want to change this year, maybe like up our birds. All done? It's all ready. Now, fortunately, I was able to get these ducklings in the spring in March of last year, but that segues into the next thing that I regret a little bit, and that was getting into the ducks as fast as I did. I want to get this out to anybody out there who wants to start a farm. Please don't just jump straight into it. Make sure you do your research and you jump in slowly. Maybe start with chickens, because you buy chickens and you get a whole area ready, you may drop at most $1,000. But if you get into cattle or pigs, you're dropping thousands of dollars that if it doesn't work out, $1,000 is $1,000, but it's less than it'll be for cattle or pigs or a livestock guardian dog until you know that you're 100% certain that you're ready for that animal. So that brings me to the ducks. I jumped into ducks way too fast, and I've wanted ducks for a long time and we've had them before, but I just got into it too fast. I just saw them at our local farm store and I just got them. I didn't have an area set for them. I didn't have anything. Looking back, maybe I wouldn't have them right now, but I would have a planned out spot for them this spring. So I'm very happy with my ducks and I won't get rid of them. But that could have resulted in less casualties this spring. Because as you know, we raised them pretty good, and then unfortunately, we did lose 3 of the 8. Which is unfortunate. And now if I had a coop ready for them when they got a little older, that's just something I regret. I wish I hadn't got into them as fast, but now I'm really happy with ducks. I'm still not sure if I want to get any more this spring or if I just want to see if they hatch out some of their own. The goal right now is to get baby chicks, so chickens. Maybe a turkey or 2 this year too. But mind you, we won't jump into it. We'll make sure that we have everything because we've learned our lesson. And that's where a lot of things stem from, is just not being ready. There's multiple things this year that have happened, or this last year that have happened, that if we had been more prepared or thought about it a little bit more, maybe did a little bit more research, then the outcome could have been different. For example, it was the same thing with our cows. If you guys remember, at the end of the summer, the cows continued to get out. What ended up happening with the cattle was during the summer, they did very good. I'd move them every 2 to 3 days and they would eat all the grass in that spot. It was usually about 9 feet wide. It was probably 40 to 50-ish feet long and about 9 to 10 feet wide. And they would eat this grass in that spot, and then when it was done, I'd move them to the next spot, which would be the exact same. Grab this. So they did really good all summer long. But then coming into the fall months when there was a little less grass and we were coming up on some of our first frosts, they started to get out. So they would bust through the line, or we'd get calls in the middle of the night, 1 or 2 in the morning, that there was cows out. They would just be on the driveway or something, somebody would just see them, and they would go right back in with food. But it got worse and worse to the fact that I made 2 videos on trying to fix it. And even after that, we didn't fix it, and that's what came to broken fences that we had. Now, looking back, it would have been a better idea to have a better fence energizer and have a plan for them when the first frost started to come in, giving them some hay, but we just didn't prepare enough. So looking back, that is one thing that I regret from last year, is not doing that. Sadie, come on! So that is something definitely we're gonna do better this year, is like I said in the last video about the new fences, that'll make it a lot tougher for them to get out, more on the impossible side, which will make it much better, but we're doing more research. And remember, we're just a few years into this, so I'm still learning every day about new things. Whenever something like that happens on the homestead, it's still almost a good thing sometimes, because it still teaches you something. You know, I had ducks in the chicken coop, And I learned that the smell in there from the chicken poop is too much for ducks. And that could actually give them the pneumonia and kill them. But for the chickens, it's fine. Because of the slats in the floor, it's perfectly fine for them. But for the ducks, it's not. So we had casualties because of that. We learned from that, and now we don't put chickens with ducks. Hi guys. You lay any eggs today? Whoa, 2 eggs, that's cool. So you look at anything that you get into too fast, there's a very, very high chance that you won't be ready for the curveballs that it'll throw you with this new thing because you haven't done enough research sometimes. No. Set these inside. I don't want the dogs to get them. So just another example of something small that I do regret and that will be fixed this year. And it's something that we improve on every year, and that's the winter cow plan. So every year it changes and it gets a little better every year. So the first year they were in the pasture, which resulted in them getting out almost every day. Here you go, little pigs. My amazing winter storage area for all my stuff. Everything here is fine. Look at all these posts we have. It's amazing. Remember, I was looking for posts during the summer and I have them all here. I'm so happy. There should be about 100 or 150-ish. And we have both of the waters and one of the feeders. One of them broke, if you remember, in the fall. One broke. So I did get all that stored up for the winter, so I'm very happy about that. So anyway, so the winter cow situation this year is a little different. And it is just having the cows down in that area, which has been the same thing for a couple years, but it's a little better planned. Now granted, we have had a lot of rain that has resulted in a lot of water down there, but the cows do pretty good with it. They just eat hay and they drink water and poop. And then in the spring, we'll clean it out. But I'm hoping that this next year, since this will all be fenced in down through here, and they won't be able to get out, which should result in them being able to be out all winter. And if you guys have ever seen it, so it's like people fence in like a quarter of their pasture at a time and drop a couple hay bales, and then their cows can just go through them and they'll poop in the field so that it doesn't have to be spread. But they'll move them about once a month. And granted, the cows have been being moved all summer if they're feeder cows, so they're just here for a year. So they've been being moved so they know what they're doing. So this should result in probably very, very responsive cattle. And like even these cows, if I go, hey cows, come on cows, and they're even perking up now, if I do that, they immediately go to perk up to be ready to move. So these cows in the fall should be very, very easy to move. And then we'll just move them throughout the pasture throughout the winter, and that'll result in poop spread out, so it'll be less in the springtime for me. Forgot the nozzle for that down there. The last thing that has been a hard thing on our homestead, it is just something that comes with homesteading where we are here in Ohio. It's very wet. So if you haven't noticed, our pastures are pretty wet, and that isn't something we can really change. Now granted, we can put in like water lines underground and drainage systems, and we have done that before, but unfortunately it hasn't worked. They get overwhelmed. So the biggest thing we can do is build up the ground. Yes, granted, you can see there is water in some specific spots, like right here there's water, and over here there's some water. And mainly down here, there's a lot of water. This is where a lot of the water sits. But it's 100 times better than when we first arrived here and started putting these pastures in place. Back then, the whole pasture in the springtime will be filled with water. And I know it's wintertime, but even in the wintertime, it'd be filled with water. Like you would walk through the pasture when it was freezing outside, and the whole pasture would just be ice. So in the springtime, we take different composts from different animals like the pigs and the cows and sometimes chickens, and we put it down in these lower spots to help. For a second, I was like, wait, where's Sadie? I think I might have forgotten her in the barn. We're gonna go find out. So we do get dog like kibble food we do get kibble for the dogs, but it's usually mixed in with our meat and their eggs, and we make them yogurt, so it kind of just helps with different other proteins and vitamins that they need. There you are. Okay. I think it's not the worst thing in the world to have a chaotic barn in the winter and even in the height of summer, but you can do things to keep the mess down. Things like organization and stuff. Having a place for things and making sure you're putting things away and not just throwing them on the ground and stuff. Making sure feed bags and stuff get thrown in the garbage, which sometimes, especially I do have a hard time, especially if I'm in a hurry. But stuff like that just has to get done or it'll build up, but then it's a lot bigger of a mess you gotta clean up. But that's basically the video. I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the bigger regrets I have from this year and just talked about some of our failures. And I wish I could say we didn't have that many, but we have a lot more than that. A lot of littler ones. But that's some of my biggest ones from this year. But I have a video coming soon about a whole recap of the whole year. And I'm super excited for this video. It'll talk more, like I said earlier, about the YouTube aspect. More on my videos. So what that will be like is, like, I'll talk about when Molly got sick. So it'll just be a recap of things like that and some of my favorite moments from the vlogs, because I have a couple. So thank you guys for watching today's vlog, and I'm gonna go get Sadie her dinner, and I'm gonna go get some dinner myself and take a shower and get this all edited up for you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.